Well, hey everybody, welcome to church. Now, I bet you're not even looking at me anymore. You're probably looking at what's behind me. And yes, I'm sitting in our lobby at GFC. This is after day one of the new renovation project. Most of demolition happened today. You can kind of see this is the overflow wall behind me, and that has been taken out. And then the carpet has been taken out of here, and there's other things that have been taken down that I can't show you right now. But again, this is after one day. They got a big start today, and it's moving along really, really well. So I thought it'd be fun to come and record from this space. I don't know whether that was a good idea or not to be in the midst of all of this, but I figured it would be kind of fun and different. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining us in a different way today and giving us the day off in the building. That was for a couple of reasons. First of all, it helped us get to this, right? And give the builder or the builders a little more space to be able to get this done and get moving so that we can get back into the building next week. It also just gives all of our staff and volunteers a break, just not having to be in the building today. So thank you for taking time out of your normal schedule to join us from home. If you have kids and you're looking for the kids videos, those will be on our YouTube channel as well. It's separate from this video, so they should all show up around 10 o'clock. So you'll be able to grab onto that. There's one for preschool kids, there's one for elementary kids, and then this for the adults. So thanks for jumping in with us today. A couple things before we really dive into our conversation today. First of all, our 2024 year-end giving is still happening. So it's great. We had set a goal of wanting to help 50 families in the CAR this December. We are at that point where we can do that, but anything more that comes in through the end of the year, 20% of that is still going to go to help families in the CAR. If you're joining us for the first time, you just kind of found us on YouTube, you might be wondering what that is. We, through one of our missions partners, have the opportunity to help families in the CAR who have lost their homes due to a war, or people have come and literally stolen their homes, and we have the opportunity to come alongside them. And for $60, we can give them a form of shelter, some beds, some food, a water jug to gather water, different things like that to help them survive even though they don't have a home right now. So all of our regular giving, 20% of all our regular giving in December is going right to that project. We are already able to help 50 families, but we would love to help more. So please continue. If you haven't given at the end of the year, we would love to have you jump in on that with us. Here's the other thing. Next week, the plan is to be back in the building. We're going to make sure this place is safe. It's not going to look like it does right now, but we are planning to be back. And the first Sunday of January, January 5th, is our Vision Sunday for the year. We're going to talk about our focus for the year. It's going to be a great day. You'll get to come in and kind of see where we are in the renovation process. So that should be a lot of fun. So we would love to have you with us that day. Don't miss it. I know at home church, I hope that you're snugly and warm or driving, wherever you're doing right now. It is great break to be able to do this a little bit differently, but we would love to have you back January 5th, next Sunday in person to help us launch the new year and see where we are in the project. We hope we'll see you there. Well, as if you didn't know this, but we are walking into a brand new year, right? 2025 is just a couple of days away. And depending on who you are and what you've experienced, your feelings about the new year can be different, right? It could be really good. It could be really bad. I've said before, I love New Year's. I love to have a new year to think about, new goals to set, new plans to make. I loved growing up. My family lived in South Philadelphia, my grandparents and great-grandparents, so we would go down there and watch the parade, and it was awesome just to be able to watch the Mummers Parade. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up, Google it. It's awesome. You're going to think it's weird. It's great. And so we would watch that every New Year's. And so that's still something we do. And family comes over to our house and we watch the parade. And it's just a lot of fun. But I know that this can be the case, right? Oftentimes, how we feel about a new year is based on the way we experienced the previous year. Maybe 2024 was really good for you. And that might make you kind of think, okay, so what does that mean for 2025? Is that going to be another good year, or is it going to be a not so good year? Or maybe 2024 wasn't good and maybe you're excited because 2025 has to be better. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Or maybe something happened in 2024 that wasn't good and you're actually not looking forward to moving forward into the future with that as the case. Wherever you are as you're stepping into a new year, it's probably, you're thinking about it, you're processing it based on what you experienced in the previous year. And maybe you're looking forward to getting to 2025, or maybe you're not looking forward to it. And a new year always brings change, right? You've got to get a new calendar. Maybe for work, you've got a new pay scale. It means we're going to think about, getting our cars looked at again and like different things like that, right? There's always there's change that comes. There's newness that comes with the new year that we have to think about and kind of process. And some of us love change and some of us hate change. I know I've talked to people, even doing projects in our house, like our kids sometimes, they don't like it, right? They don't want it to change. They don't know why we're doing this or why we're doing that. And then I've talked to other people, good friends of mine, that say they're addicted to change. They love doing new things and trying new ideas and engaging in that way. And maybe in your relationship, if you're married, maybe one of you really likes change and one of you doesn't. And some of the ways this might come out, right? Moving furniture around is maybe one of those ways that comes out. Right? Maybe you're the person who's like, just set it and forget it. I want nothing to do with changing this. And some of us, we look around for a while and we're like, man, the furniture's been this way we just got to change it up. We want to move it around and try different things in the space. And if you're the spouse that doesn't want to move things, I have a pro tip for you. Put your TV mounted on the wall. Once something is mounted on the wall, it limits the opportunities and the decisions you can make with the rest of the room. So I'm just saying, if you want to anchor things down, that's kind of a thing, but you didn't hear that from me. Maybe it's moving. Maybe you've moved in the past and you hate it. You don't just hate the process of moving, you just don't want a new town, you don't want a new place, you like your house you have. But maybe for some of us, it's been we get a new job. And so it's a new opportunity, it's a new place, we want to move there. It's a bigger, better house or something like that. We do a renovation, right? We find ourselves in doing a renovation here, and there's good things about this, but there's also things like, it's a little hard for me to get to my office right now. There's just good things and bad things we like and we don't like. Maybe it's new paint colors, you like painting, you don't like painting. Maybe it's getting a new car or a new phone. You really liked the car you had, or you liked the phone, you knew how it worked and you knew all the things, and then you have to get a new one. You don't want a new one because you have to learn a new process or whatever, but some of us really love those things. Getting a new car can be a lot of fun. Having a new phone, having the newest phone can be a lot of fun. And maybe even another birthday. Maybe it's a birthday coming up you've got this year that's a milestone birthday and you're going to get to do things you didn't get to do before. And maybe for some of you, it's just another year and you don't really love going through that. The new year always brings change. And we either love that or we're looking forward to it, or we just don't love it at all. But here's what a new year can be. A new year is always a good opportunity, a good time to evaluate where you are and where you hope to be. It's one of the things I always do. I think about what I did the last year. Did I complete the goals I had? Did I not complete the goals I had? We do this at church. We go over this with our staff and with our elders, like what are the things we want to be able to do and what are the goals we have for this year. And so as you come to the end of the year, it's a good way to think about where you are and where you want to be. Did you make the progress you wanted to? Did you have something come up you didn't think was going to come up? And how are you moving forward into the future? If you're going to do this well, I think it takes two things. Number one, it takes honesty. You have to be able to be honest with yourself. Where are you in the situation? Are you moving forward? Are you moving backwards? Are you not moving at all? And we've all probably known people, or we've seen examples in TV shows or movies where somebody has a problem they need to fix and they just don't want to. They ignore it. They want it to go away. They just don't want to deal with it. So we have to be honest with ourselves. Where are we in life? Where are we in our spiritual journey? Where are we when it comes to following Jesus? And the second thing I think it takes is this. It takes mission. I believe this to be true. Every person who's a follower of Jesus has a mission they have been called to. We're not meant as followers of Jesus, as people in general, but as followers of Jesus to just go through the motions. That's not what Jesus calls us to. We're supposed to have a mission that we're pursuing. But too often we just kind of do go through the motions. We just kind of get by. We just do the least amount we have to do. We don't worry about what's coming next or what we should be reaching for, what Jesus is calling us to. I want to read a few verses today. This is one of my favorite passages. I go back to it often. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're going to look at verses 14 to 17. You can read along at home, or I'll just read them to you. It'll be very simple for us today. But verses 14 and 15 say this: either way, Christ's love controls us. Since we believe that Christ died for all, we also believe that we have all died to our old life. He died for everyone so that those who receive his new life will no longer live for themselves. Instead, they will live for Christ, who died and was raised for them. So he talks about there, right? Since we believe that Christ died for all, we also believe that we have all died to our old life. Here's the question. Have we or have you died to the old life? For some of us, we maybe got saved when we were really, really little. So we don't think about necessarily what life was like. I got saved when I was 6. I don't really remember what life was like at 5 too much. But how am I different? How are the decisions I make different? This is a good way to think about it. What motivates the decisions you make? When you have to make a decision about moving or changing jobs or how you're going to spend your time, what motivates you? Is it just money? Is it just opportunity? Or is it, how does this job, how does this home, how does the way I'm spending my time here, how does that influence the mission that Jesus has called us to? How am I making decisions to feed that mission and keep myself available for that mission rather than just pursuing what I want or what I think is good? How we make those decisions will show whether we've died to the old self or we continue to feed our flesh, ourselves that we want to gratify. Going on to verses 16 and 17, it says, "So we have stopped evaluating others from a human point of view." This is where the mission really comes into this passage. We've stopped evaluating other people from a human point of view. We can just go through the world and just think about people as a human, right? This person's good or bad, or I don't like them, or in my interaction here, I'm going to make sure they know that I either like them or don't like them, whatever it is, right? We can only think that way. Or we start to think about them differently, and that changes the way we interact with them. And then he talks about this. He says, at one time, we thought of Christ merely from a human point of view. Paul at one point just thought Jesus was a person. He was just a human. He was just a teacher. He was just a rabbi, right? And his followers were on the wrong track, and he didn't like that Jesus was getting the attention that he wanted. But then he says this, how differently we know him now. Because he walked out of the grave, how different they see him now. This means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone. A new life has begun. That's the phrase I want us to focus in on. The old life is gone, and the new has come. And I think that's what happens every new year. The old life, 2024 now, pretty much, is the old life. It's the past. It's what we've been through. You can't go back to it. You can't change it. You can't do it over. It is the old life. But every morning we get the opportunity to wake up and have new life, right? We get to make the decisions. How am I going to live today? How we experienced last year, how we experienced yesterday, is that going to influence us? Absolutely. But we get to make the decision on moving forward, how this is going to go. What decisions am I going to make, right? And we don't get to decide everything. There are things we can't control that happen. But we do get to decide the new things. And as we look at last year and say, okay, that's the old life. How am I going to be different in the new life? And I want us to think about it this way. What are the things that maybe, we're walking in 2025. Think about with me for a minute. What's in storage in your attic or in the shed or in your garage or in your basement? Are there things that you have just kind of put away down there, up there, wherever it might be in your house? And they've been in storage for years. Maybe you've lived in your home for 20 years and there are boxes that you have never unpacked. What's happening to that stuff? What do you think? Some of you are like, I don't even want to know what's happening to that stuff, right? Because it's not good. When we moved out of Pottstown, we only lived in Pottstown for 3 years, but we had put some stuff up in the attic. I think we just put it in regular cardboard boxes. I don't think we put them in bins. And at some point there was some moisture that had gotten into our attic and we found those clothes. I think there was clothes and stuff like that. There was mold on them. And so when we went to move, we just got rid of them because we didn't want them anymore because they were moldy. And we had stuck them up there. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't remember that they were there or that we didn't know they were getting moisture. They were just stuck up there and we forgot about them or we didn't think about them. We just left them there. And what happened? They got ruined. I think that this is true, that when we leave things alone, we leave them idle, they will decay. We think about this in kind of a big level, but also on a smaller level, right? You should get rid of the leftovers in your fridge, right? If they've been there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they should go, right? They shouldn't be there anymore. They were good for a little while, but now you get rid of them. And you go through the refrigerator, hopefully you find something, you go, that's not good anymore, and you throw it away. You take out the garbage. Right? If you're like me, we try and fit as much stuff in there. We want to be good at making sure we use the full amount of the garbage bag, right? You don't want to waste your garbage bag, but you keep putting stuff in there, eventually you have to take it out and throw it away. Otherwise, it's just going to be decaying garbage in your house. It's going to smell bad. It's going to be gross. We don't want that. Hopefully you go to the dentist and they get the stuff off your teeth that's been stuck there and they get it out so it doesn't decay. And we get rid of old junk. Because here's what I know, ready? Even if your stuff is in airtight bins, if it's packed away somewhere and it's been there for years, do you know what you're going to start to pull? You're going to pull that stuff out. You're going to start to move it. What are you going to find? You're going to find cobwebs. You're probably going to find dead bugs, right? It's just sitting there and it's surrounded by decay. Whatever we allow to sit idle, we allow to decay. And this is an opportunity as we step into the new year to think about this from a spiritual perspective. What have I allowed to be idle? Because if we allow it to be idle, we just pack it away, we don't pay attention to it, we don't think about it, and we don't evaluate it, we don't breathe life into it, it's going to decay. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And so what I want us to do is think about how this truth of this passage impacts us moving forward. If there is an old life and we've been called to the new life, if Christ has died, so we leave that old life behind and we step into that new life, what does that actually mean? How can we be different? But one of the things I've learned over the years is it is difficult, it's not easy to overcome a bad habit without starting a good one. So if you were going to think about this, and maybe there's something that comes to mind, like I need to change that or whatever, I've got a bad habit, I've got something going on, you have to switch it with something else. Addicts do this. If you stop doing one thing, you have to do another. In fact, I've known people that have stopped smoking. They smoked for a long time. They stopped smoking. And in order to stop smoking, they replaced it with eating. So you look back at old pictures of them, and when they were smoking, they were super skinny. And then when you look at them now, they've stopped smoking. That's good, but they've actually put on a little bit of weight because they had to switch it out with something. They had to change the habit. And so that's not a good one, right? That's kind of bad habit to not as bad habit, but we want to switch from a good habit, from a bad habit to a good habit. So here's the question I want us to think about, and this is where we're going to kind of land and kind of really dig in on this. What's one thing that needs to be removed from your life? As you think about this, I want you to just think 2024. Don't go back so far, right? But think about 2024. How is your spiritual life good or bad, and what needs to change? What's one thing that needs to go? And you can think about habits in a few different ways, right? There are just regular old bad habits. Regular old bad habits would be things like drinking too much. I don't even mean just getting drunk. I mean just like you have a drink a day or you drink too many times a week or something like that. It's just not a healthy thing. We're not thinking sin yet. We're just thinking health-wise. It's not good for you. Smoking would be another one, or gluttony, eating too much. Those are not good things. They are not good habits. There's also sin habits, right? It could be the language you use. Maybe you need to change and you need to use different language. There's anger issues, how you take out your anger on people, how you express it or how quickly you get angry. Or gossip, right? You have the habit of just like talking about other people behind their back. Those are sin habits. Or there's things I call a roadblock habit. And that's just things like wasting time. Sitting on our phones and scrolling for too long. Maybe it's playing video games for too long or watching Netflix for too long. We just waste time, and that blocks us. That wasted time blocks us from using that time in a better way. So what's one thing that needs to go? What's one thing that should change? That you would say, if I change this about my life, I could pursue the mission that Jesus has given me in a better way. So then there's this question, right? Because we talked about the whole, you have to, if you're getting rid of one, you know what I mean? If you're going to stop a bad habit, you got to add a good one. So what's one good thing that could be added to your life? Think about good habits, right? We'll think about this the same way we just thought about the other ones. There could be just good habits, right? That would be like working out or writing thank you cards. You want to take care of your body, so you go and you run, or you go to the gym, or you join a league, or whatever, right? And then a few weeks ago, I talked about how writing thank you cards has been proven to give you less anxiety, less depression. It puts you in a more thankful space, right? So maybe you wanted to start that. You start a good habit. Maybe you start a spiritual habit where you start to read your Bible, you start to pray more, or you join a group, or you say, I'm going to engage on a deeper level at church, whether that's serving or just coming more often, whatever it might be. Or maybe you need to add a gateway habit. So instead of a roadblock, you got a gateway. Here's what I would mean by that. Maybe you put limits on your phone or your screen time. Just too much time spent, so then you're just going to put limits on it so that you're not doing that all the time. Or maybe it's waking up earlier so that you have more time to get things done. But here's the other thing I want us to remember. Adding something new won't take root if you don't eliminate something old. I'll give you the example. Let's just go with what I said about waking up earlier. If you're going to wake up earlier, you know what that means? You got to go to bed sooner. So the habit starts the day before, not just when you wake up. And I've heard people that get up and run in the morning or go to the gym really early. One of the things that they say is good to do. They obviously set an alarm so that it goes off and they get up and they go. But one of the things they do is the night before, they lay out their clothes, they have their breakfast ready so they don't have to get up and make decisions. They don't have to get up and decide. They just have to get up, put on what they picked out, grab their food, and go. They remove those obstacles. Something else has to go. If you're going to read more, you're going to spend less time on your phone. If you're going to spend more time with your kids, you're going to spend less time working while they're awake or less time bringing work home with you. Something's going to have to change. So we can't think, I'm just going to take this away and I'm going to add this and nothing else is going to be different. And we have to think about this from a perspective of how is this impacting the mission that Jesus has for me? So what is it? Maybe you've never thought of that before. I said, if you're a follower of Jesus, you should have a mission. You thought, I don't know what that is. Maybe the challenge for you in 2025 is just to process, what is your life mission? What is Jesus calling you to? And I want us to think about this idea, what we've been talking about this whole time, through that lens. I don't want this to just be a self-help thing. That's not the point. But the point is to say we make decisions, we have habits that either fuel or block or take away energy from our mission. Right? If you're wasting too much time, that takes away from your mission. If you're not engaging with your family well, that takes away from your mission. Because Jesus has called us to engage our family, particularly if we have a spouse or we have children. We've got to think about, okay, what am I doing? What are the habits I have? And how are they influencing the mission Jesus has called me to? And maybe this is the question you need to ask. What would Jesus ask you to change that could help you pursue the mission he has for you? Listen, as we think about this, I know this could get really big really fast. I just want us to think one for one. What's one thing that just needs to change? It's a bad habit, it's a sin habit, it's a roadblock habit. I need to get it out of the way. I need to stop doing it. And instead of doing that thing, I'm going to add this one. It can be so easy in all of this to just think big picture and get overwhelmed really quick. Just one for one. The goal is to get one step better. To just move in the right direction. Start following Jesus in a way we haven't before. Because if we take one step in the right direction, we can take the next one, we can take the next one. So what's the thing that needs to go, and what's the thing you want to add? And make a plan to do that. Don't just say it out loud. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then don't actually strategize. Figure out how are you going to do it. Set the alarms in your phone. Write yourself a note. Tell a friend to keep you accountable. Whatever it needs to be so that you have a plan to move forward and to pursue the mission Jesus has for you. Very simply, I want us all to do this. Just give 2025 to Jesus. Just say, this year, I'm going to pursue him more. This year, I'm going to figure out what the mission is that he has for me. I'm going to pursue that thing. I don't know what 2025 is going to bring. It could bring some really good things. It could bring some really bad things. I'm hoping it brings a new lobby to this space, right? That's the plan. Hopefully God makes that happen, right? I don't know what's going to happen. But in all of those things, we can give 2025 to Jesus. I hope that you'll give real attention and say, how do I be better? How can I pursue the mission Jesus has for me in this new year? Let's pray. Jesus, we're thankful that you've given us life and that we get to step into this new year. I don't know what everyone listening to this is thinking about what's coming or what's going to be or what they experienced in 2024 and how they're moving into 2025. But God, I pray that we would just give this year to you. I pray that you would make it abundantly clear the things or the thing that's in our life that needs to go. It's a bad habit, it's a sin habit, it's a roadblock habit, and we just need it to stop. But then I also pray that you would make it clear what's the thing that we need to add. What's the good habit or spiritual habit or gateway habit that we can slide into that spot that will cause us to pursue the mission you have for us even more closely. And God, if we don't know what that mission is, we've never thought about that or processed that, I pray that you would make that clear to us, and you would impress on our hearts what our life's mission is that you have given to us. We pray that together as a church family, we would encourage one another in that, we would be able to pursue that together, and that you would use us individually and as a church family to fulfill the mission you have for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you have a great week. Happy New Year, and we'll see you back here on January 5th.